Philip, good to see you. Thanks for making a bit of time to come and have a chat. I wanted to kick off with something that you said to me last time we spoke. You said that in 5 years' time, ESG will just be called business strategy. Now, some people are going to be a bit annoyed by that because they were really into the ESG bit. So, I mean, just tell us, what you mean by that, and why do you think it's going to unfold that way?
Well, I'd be really happy. Yeah. Well, thank you very much for inviting me along on this. I do appreciate that, Paul. Um, it could be 5 years, it could be 10, but it's definitely in that direction. And the reason I say that is because, um, in the future, every single firm, every single initiative, every single activity, every single campaign, every task, every activity or action that firms will need to pursue or do or change or improve in their business or their direction, um, they will have to start planning impacts. They will need to monitor. They will need to start thinking about measuring what that impact is and have they achieved that impact. So at the moment, a lot of this ESG impact activity and capture is almost a sort of separate effort
Mm.
to the business of running the business. And I sort of know that in the future, having immersed myself very deeply into ESG and sustainability over the last sort of 7 years, I really can see that it's a lot easier for companies to be having ESG sort of built into the very fundamentals of the
Yeah,
business.
yeah,
The absolute beating heart, the data architecture of the business needs to be ESG, because the cost of trying to do this as a separate horse in the same race is just going to be too much. And particularly if you think about, we're trying to make some big changes to the world, and we're trying to encourage lots of organizations. So it's not just the large organization who can afford this, but how do we engage and get these smaller organizations to do this?
people got to work right across the supply chain, haven't they?
Yeah. So unless they reprogram their mind, of the cost of implementing and managing and producing ESG data, accurate ESG data, is just going to be too much. So if people can just reprogram in their mindset that this is how we're going to do things.
Mm.
My background, I've been a management consultant for years. It was always in change management, and the biggest problem is getting people to realize that you do have to change.
And let me
Um,
ask you, sorry, just before, let me ask you about what role do you think your business is going to play in achieving that goal of ESG being at the heart of, because I get your argument that
mm.
it should be fundamental to the way the business operates. How are you going to change? Because there's an awful lot of businesses where it isn't. How are you going to change that? How does what you do impact on that?
Right. Well, when you say me and the platform, obviously it's right with any change program that there has to be a readiness in the organization to acquiesce and accept that they need to change and need to improve in the ways they do things. And historically, a firm would use a consultant to come in and identify, or hopefully to do engagement across the business and work with the business and the people in the business to identify where the opportunities and the improvements are, and then come up with some recommendations. And then obviously then that's filtered and costed and budgeted, and then you go and implement, and then you measure the performance that's been achieved. Now, we do that in the platform. The platform is a project management platform, and it has all the tools that are built into the platform that enable all of that actually to happen. The ability to sort of turn what
Mm.
is the vision, what is the ESG vision, what is the hopes and the aspirations, what are the challenges, and then turn that into an array, a portfolio of actual projects, and then to divide up each project and then give ownership, allocation, perhaps under board direction, and then set off those projects and programs. So you can coalesce it into different programs like net zero or circular economy or recycling, but you can list projects under specific programs. And therefore, you can then set some targets, some objectives, and then you can start working up the activities. And then what we've done, because it's it's a workflow tool, and I need to come back onto workflow because that's a critical part of what we do, is then you can execute that change across a workflow. The benefit of doing it in this way in our platform, I believe, and it's been very informed by my experiences in managing change for lots of organizations, hundreds of organizations over the years, and that is to have accurate information across all the change at all time, so the leadership team know exactly where, well, like in ESG, where all what's happening in their environmental, their social, and their governance projects, and where is that, and how much is the spend, what's the return on investment they're getting at this particular point. Because if the leadership don't see that, they can, I'm not saying lose interest, but other things can come into
and there's some some basic stuff around what gets measured gets managed, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So let me ask you, how did you get onto this journey? I mean, what is it about this that how did you get to where you are, if you like? I mean, have you been involved in the ESG world for a long time? I mean, what's your kind of routine?
No. That's in truth. My background is in procurement, work winning, bidding. That's my whole focus, is the business. I've been a PLC director for a global engineering consultancy firm. I had sort of 37 different responsibilities for 37 different business units reporting in on the business side. And I was looking after all the bids in the business, and there was thousands of bids at any one time across the organization. So I was acutely aware of you do need to manage from the center. So this is largest medium to large company expertise sort of being drawn out. I then there was a personal reason why I decided to stop becoming a management consultant, and I'm very fortunate I had a friend of mine who also wanted to leave where he was working and spend more time with his family. He was one of the partners and managing directors at Accenture. So we put our heads together and we sort of talked about, well, we've been talking for years, to be honest. We're friends, and about what we do and what are the problems we both share in our relative activities. And we decided to co-found MyConsole. So we built the building blocks and the capability originally primarily around the whole process of work winning, primarily in things like go, no go, and we're getting a 1 in 2 win rate on our which bids to pursue. But the problem we had at that time, this is pre 2019, was people didn't really quite understand technology and how SaaS platforms, which doesn't seem that long ago, but it does seem a long ago in terms of how people have moved. And I think COVID actually helped in that transition. But and the problem is we just couldn't get traction enough. We had clients, but we just couldn't get enough. And obviously, because it's a project management workflow platform with governance and auditability across that process, when I started looking around at the market, we needed to pivot. We needed to see. I realized that sustainability, and particularly in obviously ESG, all of the characteristics of that requirement, we're going to need a powerful tool to manage the change programs in organizations. And so it was really just, so we literally closed down that side of the business and we went into redesign everything. And it probably took us, that started in about 2020. And to be honest, it's taken us about 3.5, 4 years to change everything and to make it, to learn and understand and talk to people. And I'll be honest, we've been guided by some very, really global sustainability consultants who really know and act as mentor and help prompt the change in the thinking.
Okay. And what does success look like to you? I mean, I'm a great believer in that if you know where you're going, you've got a far better chance of getting there.
Mm.
I mean, yeah, what's that phrase? I mean, if you don't know where you're going, any road will do. I mean, where are you going with this business? I mean, what does success look like?
Um, well, I'm very curious and happy to be on the journey. It's a. I mean, having worked in other industries which are quite brutal, like construction, engineering,
Yeah,
infrastructure, quite brutal industry. It's not. People say exactly what they think at any one time. Working in sustainability is an absolute joy. The people are so nice and charming. It's a lot easier to reach, to collaborate, to engage,
right.
and it's an enjoyable place to be. In truth, so I'm very interested in the journey actually, and I'm very interested in the intellectual challenges of developing the platform to be
Yeah,
able to enable, and I think that the key critical issue is that the critical challenge is we keep learning so much, and we obviously develop tools and refine the tools we have, and that's been an ongoing journey as we've cleverly engaged with. I mean, one of the key requirements you do need is to be working with clients, and you learn from their needs and requirements, and then that helps you develop and improve what you've got, which has been essential. And as you engage with more organizations and more clients, and you understand their needs, then intellectually you can see how you can actually create, without creating a monster, how you can create tools that enable them to do the things that they need to do. Because it's not about what I think we need to do. It's about what the draw is. My co-founder was Eric Sandor, as I said, from Accenture, and he said, never design anything unless a client absolutely wants it. So never go and develop it. So that's one of the principal driving points.
I certainly get that. And let me ask you, it's not about your business per se, but it's because it's timely at the moment. I mean, obviously, President Trump, has, kind of knocked the sustainability, net zero, green agenda, for want of a better way of describing it, in the US. Has that had an impact on your clients potentially? I mean, do you see
Not
that? Do you see that the kind of net zero sustainability? I mean, all that, is that going to come back again? Do you think in a few years? I mean, what's been
It
the
hasn't gone
impact of
away.
Trump?
It's been accelerating with irrespective of what he said. What unfortunately has damaged, because
Mm,
it's mainly things like on taking away things like US aid, and the reluctance for agency on helping social programs. Um, we're very much focused on the small, mid-sized businesses. We're trying to help them, enable them to optimize. And there, unfortunately or fortunately, which depends which side of the coin you're on, there is regulatory, regulations coming down the pipeline, increasing, particularly from the EU. And so if you want to trade with the EU, you will need to have to adopt these things. There's a lot of global push coming out from APAC, and also from the Middle East, MENA. There's lots of, I think people recognize, irrespective of what Donald Trump has said, that this isn't going to go back into the box. It's out, and it is happening.
climate
And it's
change
a
is not going
very
to go
good
away.
way. It's a very good way to run a business, because it forces the business to think about more than just those two critical dimensions: profit, revenue, and perhaps the third one, the forward order book. But the issue really is the impact. Now, as you know from, say, private equity firms, they are looking at trying to develop funds or track people with those sorts of funds. I know it's sort of dropped a bit because there's wars and things, and people do need missiles and all the rest of it. So, and oil has been critical, but that's that. If you look at the journey of 100 years, the world wars have been a sort of a small part to play, and yes, it does suppress economic activity during those periods, but it goes back to where the trajectory was previously. So I don't think if anything, I think it proves things like supply chains. I think the messages organizations should be taking is managing, and this is why I'm saying I think some of the critical facets of implementing ESG into organization is managing risk and understanding where the risk is in your business and things like supply chains, and are we working with the right supply chains, and are they aligned to our thinking. So it covers a lot of things that you might not think are important. When there's a problem, oh my God, you really should be on top of these things.
Yeah, no, absolutely, because they're not going to go away. That's my thing about these things. And let me ask you about, if you like, the process of making it all happen. I mean, I can see what you're trying to achieve, and I get that. And despite what Donald Trump says, it's still important. How do you feel about being the CEO? About having, I mean, because the job of the CEO is to kind of drive things forward, is to build the business. I mean, other people do other stuff. The job of the CEO, I always think, is quite an interesting role because it's about trying to figure out how to make it happen. I mean, how do you feel about having that job?
Well, I mean, I've always been working with senior teams and boards, and I have been a excom director myself and board director in the city. So it's a little bit different now because we work for, it's a smaller business, and I do make my own tea and coffee. So it's I don't actually think of it in that sense of it doesn't have the same gravitas as previous things that I've done. I'd say intellectually, it's incredibly stimulating, and I have to say the biggest challenge is the decision making, because when my co-founder, unfortunately, sadly, he had a very personal crisis. Sadly, his wife died, and I just felt so bad about, and you can well imagine how critical. He had 4 children under 12 at the time, and so that was critical. So he had to go and think about other things, obviously. So I do have a good friend, and who's one of the co-directors as well. We do have regular chats and to think about the vision and where we're going, and have strategy meetings. So it's we also, in the way that we've developed the business, I work with lots of isolated teams, so we don't necessarily employ people, and I'm very reluctant to employ people. Every time I have, that's been very difficult. It's very hard to particularly with younger people, but that's a different issue to talk about. But the real issue is the ability to quickly think and implement and act, which I think is very valuable. And because we're running our own business, you can make a lot of big strides very quickly.
Yeah, absolutely. And to what extent have your personal values shaped the way the business has kind of evolved?
Well, I think anybody of our age group over the last 30 years, we've all been shaped, primarily from my children. I've got 2 daughters, adult children now, and obviously I've been bruised. I've got the bruises over the years of saying the wrong things at the wrong time and all those sorts of things. So that's been very helpful. One of my daughters did a sustainability degree at Leeds University. So again, on that journey, and my oldest daughter is a human rights lawyer. So again, you can well imagine the sort of bruising I've had over the years. So I've always been very focused on helping people and doing voluntary things and getting things done. So I think that's in the DNA of how my own personal value set. So it doesn't jar. It seems a natural progression, and it's, as I said, it's a nice place to be, working with such wonderful, really nice. There's such wonderful people out there to be working with. The hard ones are still working for the heavy engineering and the infrastructure people.
I'm sure.
But yeah, I don't see any I enjoy that side of things, and it's great to be working, because the thing is, it's, you know, the area that I think would be very important to talk about is collaboration. I think we've really moved into an era of collaboration, and I'm very interested in collaborating with any organization. You know, even we've just give them the platform and we just get going and we just do things. And because one of the things I myself and Eric noticed was over the years was that there had been a change. Clients no longer want PowerPoints, Excel decks, Excel workbooks, I should say, PowerPoint decks, reports, recommendations. What they really want is consultants that work in collaboration with their own team and their own in-house team. And so this is what's informed our thinking. So our differentiating in the marketplace is we're a white label platform. We're a complete end-to-end project management, workflow, collaboration platform for ESG. And what we saw as our place in the market is we're not going to change the world if it's just we're trying to reach one company at a time. What we designed the platform to deliver is entire ecosystems, entire portfolios. So our marketplace is like consultants who, ESG and sustainability consultants who want to manage 100, say 200 of their clients, and they need a platform to manage all of that and have all their capability in the platform. And the other secret weapon that we've enabled in the platform is that each of their clients can have their own login access to their platform. Right. So this enables collaboration for the consultant to have 200 different login areas for each of their clients, for example. And they then can be working and delivering ESG support and help across each individual client. The client and the internal team can be working collectively together and collaborate. And at the same time, the power of the platform is that each company, each of these portfolio companies, portcos, can actually manage, we can actually manage their entire supply chain, separated out for them as well. So they've got their own ecosystem. So I think we're quite unique. I'm not saying other people can't do that, but that's where we see. This is one of the things when you start visioneering what, you know, where do you see your place? What is you can't go after everything. You've got to really pick a positioning marketplace and try and develop that out. So we want to work for organizations that need to manage lots and lots of businesses. You know, I mean, yeah. We've got conversations with chambers of commerce globally. We've got consultants, you know, these sorts of people, management consultants as well. So,
yeah. And so as you've been, I mean, let me just ask you about the journey a bit. I mean, as you've been, notwithstanding what you just said about your business partner, I mean, have you had any other really big surprises along the way where you've thought, oh, wow, I didn't think it was going to turn out like that?
Yes. I mean, that's just called business as normal, isn't it? Yeah, I think there's been lots of surprises along the way. But most of those are, I suppose, in each client has their own internal set of requirements, and sometimes it's very hard to get close engagement with a client. Some people push you away, some people, they love you being involved and they share and you can engage, and you get a mix of all of that. Or some people, they won't invest in the training. You know, it's not like you can just download this app and, you know, it's an easy chat and you just book your flights in. No, we need to do user training, and we need to do admin training. We need you to have an admin, or clients to have an admin. And they need to be changing how and learn about, which, to be honest, once they get to a certain point, they go, oh my God, it's so easy to use. But initially there is that, oh dear, this looks like it could be quite hard. But so that's one of the, I suppose, one of the big challenges is when you first engage with clients, and getting that contact going and getting them mobilized. And that is why we offer free support and free training and free setup. So that's part of our solution, because then there's no worry about how long this is taking or the cost. So we do a lot of free pilots, and they can be 3 months at a time, and we do a lot of their setup. And this is coming back onto one of the things that I thought was critical was a lot of organizations, perhaps the small and medium sized, they don't have workflows. They don't really quite run their business using what I would know as a workflow sequence with proper governance and reviews across each workflow stage gateway. So we have to help them, even though we're not from, say, their business world. We've got enough competences to work out their workflows and challenge them and talk to them. Things like I used to do,
Yeah, for people
and that really helps them.
For people that don't, as it were, have those sorts of things mapped out. I mean, why? Just explain, why is it important to have those workflows mapped out, and before implementing something like this? I mean, just give for the people that don't understand that. I mean, people in small businesses, they won't come across that until they get bigger.
Yes. So I mean, I've got a friend I play golf with, and he every time we talk, I don't want to sell him the platform because he's a manufacturing. We could really help him, and basically he's living in so I don't think you'll see this, but really working in chaos. I would call it chaos. He would say it's management, and they have lots of meetings and they talk about these things. But actually, if you use an task activity approach and set activities for, say, different product lines or different things or different activities, as you go through a workflow, you can manage all the steps and activities before it signs off and goes into the next workflow sequence. And then you can automate. What we've done is we automate all the tasks. So and what we give all of our users is their own personalized dashboard of all their tasks and activities that they personally have to do. And they could be working across 100 different projects, but they have their tasks are coming in at them. So each, it just becomes so obviously and so simple. And so therefore you don't need so many meetings, and you don't have 10 people sitting in a room listening and waiting for your slot. It's a streamlined, seamless activity. And it's a lovely process to see when that happens. And people are completely shocked about how easy it is, because obviously that works well with the people who say working from home. You obviously can work it off your iPhone or your iPad. You can be in the supermarket at Sainsbury's or whatever, and you get an action. You can just look at it because we've built in all of the prompts and checklists to be there, all there. Check, down. And then because normally a director will say, well, I'm in the office in 2 days' time, let's pick it up then. So you've got, loads of people sitting around really waiting, and that person can do the action, check it will prompt the checking, and you can set the next workflow stage for that project.
What you're suggesting, just so I understood this correctly, is that it improves productivity.
Yes, it absolutely improves productivity. It improves a lot more than just productivity, because the productivity then you've got people that can actually work in their own time when they want to work. They can pick up their activities, and this is the new world that we're in. So it's not. It enables people who are on the tube, on the train, doing things at the airport. You can get so much more work if you're using this sort of approach, project management workflow. Task and activity planned approach with personalized dashboards, you move very quickly. So, I mean, I'm desperate to try and get clients to give us the client performance, but they don't really want to share where they were before. But from anecdotal, we're talking about probably 3 times. Each person will get at least 3 times. I've had things like project managers have said to me, if we weren't using this platform, I was going to have to say we needed another 2 project managers to manage these projects. This one project manager is managing, say, 25 projects, overseeing 25 projects, etc., etc. So it's of that sort of scale. And it needs a bit of work setting it up into it, to set the reviews and the protocols in the workflows. But once you've done that, you've got it.
Yeah. And to what extent does AI play a role? Because it must create vast quantities of data for people. I mean, and of course, the big thing that AI does is it manipulates data. I mean, that's what AI really does, isn't it? I mean, to what extent is this an
Well,
AI play?
okay.
What is the data outputs, and what's the value of the data here?
Well, if I may pick up first on one thing, so to use AI, to use AI agents to be agentic AI processing, you need to have two critical things. You need to have workflows, so the sequence of work as it
Yeah.
goes through, and then it's sequence with decision making. So, and then the two things we do in the platform enable that to be done. So by default, it enables proper workflows to be coming in, which you're going to need anyway. But would you want to be using an AI platform that potentially hallucinates to do all that, or worse still, and I don't want to denigrate people, but the people who obviously write and implement AI software, they may not be the best people who understand change management to work out your workflows. So there's a challenge that I've not seen any research coming across, and you sort of wonder why some of these pilots stall, and I would think it's because of that. So that's one thing. And the other thing you need is human intervention, which is the oversight of the decision. Because if you don't have, I mean, AI can just go manage 100 million things like that. Now, if you don't have your workflows and everything set up, you're just going to put it into stall and wait for humans to look at it. So again, it's a sequence step to have workflows and review steps and sign off, and in the way that we have it, to seamlessly help those next steps. There is a problem with AI, and we are in the process of developing an AI reporting module. But what we do in the platform is we only curate accurate data. We don't take data in from, say, large language models, because that's homogenized data that is stylized on, say, you're a sawmill or whatever. It would take 1,000 sawmills data, which all could be made up from AI, and suggest that because you've got 50 people and you do this amount of volume, this is your data set. No, what we are recommending clients to do is to curate their own data, their own accurate data, because in the future, directors, this is probably going to start coming out about 2027 and 2030, directors will have to sign off that the data is accurate. Now, it's a little bit, and when I say sign this off and publish this for the record and put it on websites or in company reports, it's a little bit like an FD signing off the VAT, the quarterly VAT, and saying, well, we owe you, Mr. Inland Revenue, a bit, like, I would say it's about 20k. Yeah. No, they're going to want to the penny. Now, that's exactly what's going to happen in ESG. So if you do not start doing this now, what's going to happen in a few years' time? You'll spend hundreds of thousands of pounds, because a lot of this stuff is being done by graduates and interns, finding data, pulling spreadsheets together, pulling all this together, and then the director's going to have to sign this off. At the moment, bit of greenwash, there's no fines, there's no problems for the directors. But in the future, I think they're going to say, I can't sign that off, because those graduates are no longer with us, the interns have left, nobody's, can I really sign that off?
Yeah, no, it's an enormous challenge as that comes down the pipeline. And I'm like you. I mean, I'm pretty sure that's going to happen. That's what governments do, really. They want to be able to audit stuff and check things and look at them and compare them to your income.
And Paul, that is one of the reasons why ESG is not going to go back in the box, because once governments and local authorities and institutions realize that they can fine people, this is a revenue earner. So unfortunately, again, we're just trying to help organizations streamline and make their reporting exceptionally easy, their entire process very easy. But if you're not on top of it, and you're employing people to pull this stuff out and grab this stuff late, or the other options that people do is like in the EU, there's a thing called the anyway, I won't go into CBAM, but there's a cross-border adjustment mechanism where you either use accurate data, or you can pay a modified cost to say, well, we'll pay the fine. So instead of you paying zero, you'll say, well, I will pay £500 because this data we cannot absolutely write. So they will get round it that way. So you get fined in that sense. So I would be really trying to help people, or I do try and help people collect accurate data from their suppliers and from around their organization.
Yeah. I mean, the thing about garbage in, garbage out is not new, is it? It's just that there's going to be some constraints, or there's going to be some regulation around it that's going to make it a bit more serious, isn't it? Let me ask you about something slightly different. I mean, one of the things that I talk to a lot of CEOs, and it's a tough gig building a business. It doesn't matter whether you employ one person or 100 people, or 1,000 people. It's still a tough gig. What sort of mistakes have you made, and what have you learned from those?
Well, I think as the one thing you realise about life is we're always making mistakes,
Yeah,
and
that's right.
our job is to minimise and use our experience and things. And I think so. We've all made being overly ambitious. I've blown a lot of the budget. I've blown a lot of our on marketing, and perhaps going too early and things like that. And believing, I think one of the biggest mistakes we've made is in believing these sales and marketing teams that promise you to go out there and honestly spend hundreds of thousands of pounds on all of that. And it's
have little return.
very well. They don't really understand the product, and they think that their job is to purely just get you a meeting. Well, honestly, there's no problem getting a meeting. I mean, okay, there is a problem getting a meeting. I shouldn't dismiss that, but now you've got to do the selling. Now you've got to follow up. You do the next step. That's so they're not really motivated. They're only really motivated on the invoice they get at the end of the month, which is, I've got 10 meetings or whatever. And actually, that's not really, they don't get you clients. So you've got to be really close to the activity of doing.
And have you found? I mean, because you're not the only person that runs a B2B sort of SaaS platform that has struggled to win clients. I mean, have you found a way of getting clients?
Yeah.
Found a way to make that work?
Yeah, no, we partner. I'll be honest, we partner, and our way is to partner and give people. Our approach also. We have a free core platform, so it's that slightly free is always attractive. And then we have a modular pricing because this is one of our vision designs, is putting yourself in a position of a firm. Well, what do we need to get started, and what's the lowest we can get? And then, so our sequencing of our pricing allows people to get started for free, start to think about what it is they want to do. They've got somewhere to put all of their data sort of straight away, all their projects that they're doing, all their activities, start to scope. So as their ESG matures, they can just buy another user, which we charge £10 per user. They can buy another user, or they can buy another tool, So therefore, they've got the capacity and the scope to do things that are very modest. Our core so we have a core platform which is free, and then our first is vision and objectives and purpose, which is the next thing to do. So if you brought consultants in that start talking, what's the vision, what's the purpose of the business, and we provide a set of tools to do that. So as your journey grows, you buy the next sort of tool or the next module to do that, and that way you're not. And then the other thing is we only have a 3-month, commitment to us. And we'll take all your data. We'll take all your data. We'll put it into your platform. I mean, we really do help. We really lean in and get their dashboards going, get everything working that we can. I mean, a lot of people don't realise they don't really have the data. You've actually got to go out, use the tools to go and collect data. But so we don't necessarily struggle with that. because the other thing is when we talk to the other sort of side, so that's with smaller companies who want to start their journey, but when we talk to sort of like consultancy partners, they're very interested because they can see the productivity improvement. What they can do is, instead of, if they've got 100 clients, they could literally scale to having 300 clients without taking any more people. Now, what's not to like in that way?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And let me ask you a couple of questions just before we wind up. If you were starting from scratch, if you were to go back to day one, I mean, what might you do differently knowing what you know now?
Well, I have thought about that, and when I started this, I was actually looking at Amazon shares, and I don't want to tell you, but it would have been I would have probably been able to retire very comfortably if I'd have put the money in Amazon shares. I mean, which are, yeah, it would have been quite sizable. But that's just, that doesn't matter. But the journey's been very interesting. Would I have done this? Well, it's like marriages, isn't it? You start with the intention to make this a great success, and you need to work at things. You've got to work at it. So you wouldn't, if I said that to you, getting married to your wife and whatever, which I'm very wrong of me to even suggest such a thing. Yeah, there'd be some blokes like, I'm not going to go there. It's just not worth the trouble, is it? But I think I'm very happy to have had this experience and meet some great people, and it actually is very intellectually very stimulating. And I think there's so many. What tends to happen is people come to us with opportunities as well, and we've got about 4 or 5 quite enormous opportunities where people have said, your platform does sort of 75%. It saves us having to build this because we offer a white label platform. They then say, oh my God, we could just add in our little bit to your tech stack, and because you've done all the work. And so we get brought in. So there's a number of opportunities that, let's see how they go. I mean, who knows where they will go? But yeah.
Exciting stuff. And let me ask you the same question in a different way. If you were to give a piece of advice to a rookie CEO starting out on a journey like yours, I mean, what advice would you offer them?
Well, I mean, resilience. Honestly, it's all those things you see on those the YouTube video clips and things, and it is brutal. It is an utter brutal. To wake up every day knowing that you've actually got to then get everybody going and push forward and challenge and chase down things and make things happen. It's not for everybody.
No, that's true.
If you've had a job where you literally can just work to milestones, it won't be for you. So it's I've only worked for about 4 or 5 years for other companies, to be honest. I've always run my own businesses. So for about 5 or 6 years of my life, I've only worked for other companies. All the other time I've been running companies myself. So probably similar to you. And it's a mindset that you get used to the pressure, you get used to the challenges and the difficulties. So it's not...
I mean, I'm too old now anyway, but I don't think I could work for anybody else. I mean, I was never any good at it anyway, and now I really don't want to work for anybody else, So, yeah.
Well, I think, I remember when I was working for this PLC, and the CEO said to me once, he said, I think I got in about, 9:30, and I had been brought in to do some major things to this business because, I was pitching as a consultant to them. He says, what, I really want you to come and join. Anyway, a couple of months later, I was with them. It was 2008, 2007. I could see I needed a safe harbor. I could see that this was going to fall over. So I took that. He made me an offer there and then. He said, I really need you to come and do the change across our organization. So I said, okay, yeah. So he looked at the voice. Oh, you're a bit late, Philip. And I said, listen, I won't say his name. I said, listen, X, can I just say work is what I do, not where I go. And he said, yeah, because you're thinking 2 o'clock in the morning sometimes. We're thinking this, what a walk.
Yeah.
I've gone with the family and I'm thinking, oh my God, and I'll make a note down and think about this, and something will come in. And that, when you've got that, when you're running your own show, you're constantly doing all this stuff in the background. I mean, my to-do list is,
It's
I've got a
kind of
90
never
day.
ending, isn't it, really? I mean, my to-do list is
Well,
never ending.
you've just got to be organized.
Yeah.
But that's the interesting thing when you run your own show. So many pieces. It's like I see it's like a giant jigsaw puzzle. I love jigsaw puzzles. I tend to only do them at Christmas time, but when you do them and you're just whiling away and you're sort of emptying your brain into white noise. Actually, it's a bit of that thrill when you put it 3 or 4, 5, 6 pieces come together just like this, and it's that excitement. I know it's a rubbish analogy, but it's that sort of thing. You get that hit, that dopamine hit, from when a number of things come together. And that's, I suppose, one of the upsides of working for yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. Philip, thanks for making a bit of time to come and have a chat. I mean, it's really interesting. I mean, I think the whole ESG thing is just really interesting anyway. And I think what you're doing to help people move that agenda forward seems to me to be a pretty good thing. So, I mean, I appreciate you taking the time to come and have a chat with us. And I know it's hard work, but good luck going forward.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Paul. I really appreciate it. It has been a nice chat, and it's good to get a few tough questions along the way. So I do appreciate you investing time with us as well. So thank you.
Great to have you here. Cheers. Bye-bye.